Hello, welcome everyone. Good afternoon on this Sunday afternoon to all of you, and welcome back to Cutting Edge Metaphors Day 2 Bootcamp. And we are upgrading ourselves to our version 2.0 in metaphors today. Yesterday was about basic frameworks, and today we will delve deeper into frameworks related to selling. So, how many of you first of all, enjoyed yesterday and at least started looking at things metaphorically, or started having that metaphoric lens around you while just living your life? Just type a yes in the chat box. Okay. The volume is not increased. Is it okay or for all, or is it happening just for Namrata? Because from my side it is completely full. Great, Sandhya. You can watch the recording. I'll put the link of previous day again. Okay, it's okay for you. And what about others? Am I audible properly? If that's only with Namrata, maybe Namrata, check your device wherever you're logging from and maybe re-log in again. Yeah, okay for Pankaj also. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for this feedback. And yes, coming back to the question, um, how many of you started looking at life metaphorically, or at least, thinking metaphorically and enjoyed yesterday's session? Just type a yes in the chat box before we move forward. Yeah, sure, Namrata. Okay, so no one has started thinking, I guess, metaphorically. That's absolutely on perfectly fine. I saw your votes yesterday that you have enjoyed the session, so marvelous. Before we move forward, just a quick recap from your side. How much of you remember what were the two frameworks which we talked about yesterday? What were the two frameworks which we talked about yesterday? Quickly type your answers in the chat box. Yeah, thank you so much, Manish. What were the two frameworks which we talked about yesterday? Because we'll build up from there. So, a quick recap of that. Why? Why there is so much of sannata for that? So, first one was mind, MIND, and through that process, we worked on the metaphors, right? So, any idea what I'm just typing the answer here in the chat box? What's the full form of mind? I made it a bit easier for you to recall. So, first framework was mind, and second framework was vivid. All right, quickly, the full forms of both, and then we move towards today's session. Yeah, the visual part, vision, V for vision. So let me just quickly recap. Mind, the first framework stands for first of all mapping the concept, finding what concept you want to talk about. I stands for identifying your characteristics. N stands for navigating the analogy from any wider category. You can pick your metaphor, and then finally D stands for designing your metaphor. Coming to the VIVID part, vivid metaphors. So first, as Manish rightly mentioned, vision or visual related words or sensory related words. I then come for impactful, making it more emotionally resonating. And then again, the another I comes for interpreting. And then there's this D. Anyone, any guesses? Because I will be telling you the answers any which ways. Any guesses? I've told you almost half of the full form of vivid also. Okay, so third V is, yeah, voice. Yeah, voice match. I got it in DM, private DM, voice matching. Yes, exactly. So first V is visual or visual related words or auditory related words. Second then I is interpretive, impactful. Then V is voice match. Then I is impactful, interpretive. And what does the D stands for? Yeah, directional. Someone is sending me DMs. Okay, cool. All right. So that was about previous day one metaphor frameworks. On basis of that, we'll be building up today's metaphors. Okay. So ready for today's metaphor, because today's metaphors, we will be upgrading ourselves to metaphorically selling. So how do we sell metaphorically? So before we move forward, quickly, maybe you can unmute and tell or type in the chat box, what do you mean by selling? What is selling for you? Is it just that exchange which happens and you end up selling something and you get the amount, or is it something else or beyond this, or there are many other perspectives to that as well? Quickly type your answers in the chat box. Or maybe you can unmute and talk about it. Absolutely fine. I know it's a Sunday afternoon, might be a bit sluggish for some, but definitely I'm very sure that if you're here, you're on toes for learning. Okay, reaching the heart and not mind is real selling. Absolutely. Very wonderfully described. Exactly on point that selling is, as a process, selling is about, not about the facts, not about the features, but about the feelings. Absolutely wonderfully explained by Manish. So what else? So selling is the outcome, the final outcome, which happens where there's an exchange. What apart from that comes under exchange, where there's no monetary exchange, but there are many other exchanges as well. So any idea, what is your definition in that sense, in selling? Selling is an exchange of product or service for money to satisfy not only material, but not only a material need, but also intangible and emotions. Wonderful. Great. And sometimes even the exchange for money is not always the money. It's selling is influencing someone to do what you want them to do. Exactly. Now, it can be anything. It can come under, convincing somebody. In fact, when you guys are coming here, I consider that also as selling, because you are sold out on my idea of these cutting edge metaphors. And that's why you're here. You're convinced. And that's what I wanted to do as a first step, that, come here and let's learn together. Gaining a mind space in the heart of a customer. Absolutely, absolutely beautifully described, Namrata. So that's what selling is about. It's not just about the final outcome, first of all, it's also about the process. And the process says that always feelings more than the facts and figures or features. Secondly, it's even as an outcome, when you do the transaction, it's not always the materialistic transactions. It's more of exchange of ideas. It may be exchange of materialistic things versus something tangible or intangible. It can be just exchange of emotions. So when we come to the part of output, it's not always in terms of money or materialistic or just selling. It's just an exchange. The exchange can be of anything, and that's what selling is. Like Sawyer told to his friends the idea of whitewashing the fence for free. Yes, for detail, you will have to, unmute and tell the story, because many of them might not be aware of that. Are you okay unmuting Dipashri, or I described that for you? But I'm just confused because this story was told by you in one of the storytelling session here. And yeah, sure. Okay, 2 minutes, fine. So when you're ready, you let me know. Meanwhile, we start the session. Okay. So today we'll be covering three major parts. As I said, we'll be focusing on metaphorically selling today. Yesterday, we covered metaphorically thinking and metaphorically writing. And today, some more frameworks into the scene. First is soul framework. Second is brand metaphors. And third is power pitching or power pitch process. And those who are staying till the end, again, there is a beautiful freebie which I've made for you, which is known as 25 metaphors that sell. So if you're staying till the end, you'll be eligible for that. I'll not be sharing that freebie inside the group, inside the WhatsApp group. I'll be sharing that here in the Zoom only as an attachment. So those who are staying till the end will be getting that. Okay, so that's ready for the metaphorically selling session and become those metaphoric sellers and create a space in people's heart. Awesome. Okay, Dipashri, you want to share the story? Please do so if you are ready. Yeah, cool. You can unmute and talk about it before we move forward. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So there is this book, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, in which there's this little boy, Tom Sawyer, whose grandmother has told him to whitewash the fence as a punishment. And he doesn't want to do the entire fence himself. And he doesn't want to plead with his friends to do it for him because he knows they won't do it. And he's going to have to trade a lot of his toys, give them to his friends if he wants to get it done that way. So now he thinks of this idea. He kind of acts cool in front of his friends, and he starts whitewashing the fence. And then when his friends come to call him, one of them has an apple in his hand and all. He sees him from the corner of his eye. He's coming, but then he doesn't pay any attention. Tom. And when that friend he comes nearby and like taps him on the shoulder and asks what you're doing, he's like, "Oh, this is so cool, you don't know, like, and I'm not going to give it to you because this is really the coolest thing I'm doing." So it's kind of a full approach for selling. So now this friend gets curious and he's like, "No, I want to do." So Tom says, "Okay, you want to do, I'll consider giving you a little bit, but then what will you give me in return?" So he says, so he's just taken a bite of the apple. He says, "You can have that apple." Then similarly, the other friends come along. So each one of them, this guy is like really acting cool as if he's given the best thing in the world to his friends by giving them the whitewashing activity to do. And when the other friends also come along, he does the same thing. So he collects this huge, pile of toys and knickknacks and whatnot, and he gets all the fence neatly whitewashed, not once but with three full coats.
Wow. Wow, that's hilarious, but actually very insightful despite being hilarious.
Yeah. So the book is Adventures of Tom Sawyer. It's a children's classic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. In fact, here, as you heard Dipashri, again, selling was redefined in form of, he just had an exchange of apple. He just got his work done. So basically, as Dipashri very rightly described, selling is influencing someone to do what you want them to do. Now, even if you don't have a product, even if you don't have, a service to sell or a product to sell, but every single day, each one of us, while negotiating with a shopkeeper or maybe talking to your kid and wanting them to do something, you're actually repeating the process of selling because you are wanting them to do something which you want for them or you want them to do. And that's what, in fact, this was even more deeply described by our NLP mentor also, Mehnosh, that what he said was selling is influencing someone to want to do something which you want them to do. So influencing to the level that they feel like I want to do that. So that's what selling is all about. It's, as I said, it can be just an exchange of apple, but if that's what you are aiming for and you got through that, you sold it. Okay, so let's start. As a warm-up, describe this boot camp metaphorically before we go forward. Describe this boot camp metaphorically. This boot camp has been like dash for me, or maybe this boot camp is whatever. Describe this quickly in the chat box, and then we'll move forward to the soul framework. Quickly type your answers in the chat box. That's not a metaphor. I know, Sandhya, you are joining today, so maybe you are not aware. You have to use a metaphor. So this 2-day boot camp was like dash. What it was like? Was it like a roller coaster of learning, or was it like did it fill your cup of learning, which you felt was half full? So what was it? Namrata says this 2-day boot camp was a call and gift from universe. Wow, wonderful, beautifully described. How about others? Quickly type in your answers in the chat box. Selling like hotcake. Wonderful. Great one, Manish. How about others? Making things possible. Yes, think about a metaphor, something which you can compare the boot camp with. This boot camp is like bed of roses or something like that, where you're comparing a quality. Suppose you say that, she's as beautiful as Rose, or she's like Rose. So the beauty of Rose and her beauty are compared, and that is why there's a comparison between two things on a similar characteristic. Vidya says, planting this boot camp is planting seeds in form of metaphors in the garden of our mind. Marvelously described. Absolutely loved it. Awesome. So keep dropping your answers, because that's how you polish your metaphor learning, metaphoric thinking, and this lens of metaphor. Every single day, just like you take bath, every single day, even if you're doing one metaphor as a practice, that will sharpen your metaphoric lens for sure. Dr. Hari Krishna says it's a piston in my Formula One race. Wow. Though I'm not very much aware about Formula One race, but pit stop. Okay. Yeah, that's what I got confused. Okay, now I know. Wonderful. Dipashri says this bootcamp is like a special camera lens that allows me to discover that metaphor hidden deep within me. Marvelous. That reminded me of maybe a metaphor on scalpel, that it's digging deeper and bringing out the gold from within you, which is always there. Marvelous. Absolutely cool. So let's move forward. Soul framework. Any idea what can be the full form? What can be the full form? Okay, what's S stands for? Any guess? Selling. Okay. Specific. Wonderful. Sincerity. All right. Okay, so the first S stands for set a context. Okay. Story driven. Say metaphor, and we'll see all the examples over here very soon. So your metaphor has to be story driven when you want to do the selling. Now, again, I'm repeating, selling is not just the materialistic selling or the selling where you're getting money, but even if you're convincing somebody for some idea, that also is selling. So embed your metaphor inside a narrative. How will we do that? We'll have a look at that once we complete the full form. O is oppositional. So this I mentioned even yesterday, that when you bring contrast together, that's even more impactful, that's even more retainable, that's even more leaves an impression on the receiver's mind. So using a contrast to highlight your unique positioning or offer, or even your point which you want to talk about. Just maybe convincing your boss or giving a presentation, and you used oppositional metaphor or the framework of oppositional metaphors once in your slide. That once itself is enough. Then comes logical bridging. How will we do that? We'll have a look how to bring the make them think that they're thinking from logic, but actually it's just directioning them from problem to transformation, giving them the direction from problem to transformation. And then the D stands for desire amplifier. How do we do that so that the receiver's desire gets amplified, or how do you play around with that? Before we have a look at the examples, I just want to tell that some of these might look like that they're overlapping with the previous framework, at least the last one which I devised. Yet, when you're doing it with selling, the proportion matters and where you're using it matters. So we'll have a look at that also. All right, so let's have a look at each one of these and the examples. So I've created this. Let's see the examples of story-driven framework first. How do you make your metaphor story-driven? So this is a very short story, very short ones. First of all, I've kept them short, not because you have to make your content short. That is totally up to you. But there are times that you have to speak it out, right? So I considered both the things in mind, that it might be used in speaking, it might be used in writing. When it is in writing and you are doing a long form, you can elongate that. If it is in speaking, or if it is in just a presentation where you're just speaking few lines, so I considered the length accordingly. So when I first started writing, it felt like hiking blindfolded, each word a step into fog. But one day I discovered metaphor. Suddenly it was like someone handed me a compass. Now every piece I write leads straight to the reader's heart. Okay, so there's a story where there's a starting, there's a middle, and there's the end. There's a starting where somebody wanted something. So there's a desire, there's a conflict, that it was such like entering into the fog. There's a resolution through metaphor, and there is a change after that. So all these things are mentioned in a story. Whenever you're writing, whenever you're telling your transformational story, all these things come. Transformation just doesn't come that, I used to consider books as my sibling, and today I'm a book writing coach. So the story would start from that I did not have the sibling and my void was filled up with books. That comes as a kind of desire that I wanted to fight with loneliness. I wanted to fill that void. Even my parents wanted to do the same. And they found a productive part to fill that up. Through books, I reached to the resolution, which is becoming a book writing coach. And what is the transformation now as what I got from there? Okay, so I handle international clients. I cater to world record holders also. 30 plus people have written book under my guidance. I have written 4 books by myself. So that's the transformation part. But directly mentioning the transformation without mentioning the conflict or without mentioning what you were looking for and what you got as a resolution, at least in 4-5 lines, and then using metaphor there, that's how you make your story driven metaphor. Okay, let's move to the next example. My client came to me feeling like her brand was a messy closet. By the end of our work, she had turned into a curated boutique, every piece intentional, aligned, and magnetic. So again, a full story is there. Somebody wanted something, but they came with a problem that, their writing was kind of a messy closet. And by the end of it, I'm showing that, now the resolution came through learning writing. And now what is the transformation? Now every piece looks very aligned, intentional, and magnetic. I'm repeating this because just mentioning the metaphors won't help. You have to mention what the person wanted. You have to mention the resolution, and you have to mention the transformation. So desire, resolution, and transformation has to be mentioned when you're making your metaphor story driven. Next one writer I coached said writing felt like walking through a museum of locked doors. Every chapter was closed. After 2 weeks, she was dancing through the halls, opening doors with ease, all because we unlocked her voice with metaphor. Again, there's a desire, there's a resolution, there's a solution over there, and there's a transformation. Okay, so only this much, but yes, at least this much has to be mentioned. Now, before we move forward, time for you to practice that in a drill. Type your story-driven metaphor in chat box. It may be related to learning metaphors and describing that into the story, just like we have done in the second option. Or it may be something else where you are showing your desire, resolution, and transformation. Come on, quickly type your answers in the chat box. We move to the next category after that. Or if you want, you can unmute and talk about it. Just make the metaphors before and after metaphors, and rest you can talk generally. before doing this, before getting it, my dash, dash, dash was like dash, dash, dash. Then I got this, and now it has become dash, 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 and the transformation which you can talk about. So if you want, you can unmute and talk about, because there are 3-4 lines to type. So I'm considering that, and let's keep it open for if you want to unmute and talk about. Yeah, Dipashri.
Okay, so my story is this. When my daughter was around 5 years old, she used to complain that my hands felt like a Scotch Brite scrubber.
Okay.
And as a mother, it was painful for me that because of my psoriasis, I was unable to stroke her hair or even touch her without causing pain to her.
Oh.
That was when I came across the idea of providing my body with the proper nutrition and thereby overcoming such lifestyle disorders. And upon going through that regimen and ensuring that my body had the right nutrients, she found my hand to be like satin. So the journey was from a Scotch Brite scrubber to a piece of satin.
Wow, marvelous. Very interesting. Absolutely loved it. All the points are covered there. What she wanted versus what was the resolution and what was the transformation. Marvelous. Cool. What about others? Time to practice. You can unmute and talk about it if typing is taking a bit long. The easier way or the faster hack to do that is just think about the before wala metaphor. How would you describe that situation with? And the after transformation wala metaphor, how would you describe that situation with? Just like Dipashri described Scotch Brite as the before part and satin silk as the after part. And rest of the story you can fill in. Quickly type in your answers, or maybe as I'm saying, like we can cut it short by unmuting and talking about it. Faster way to do that. Okay, if you're choosing to type, let's move ahead while you guys are typing. Because it's your harvest of metaphors. Without just putting a seed won't help you. We have put the seed yesterday. Today we are using the fertilizers and water, and that comes with the practice. Okay, let me check one more time. And okay, cool. Let's take it forward. Okay, oppositional. As I said, you are bringing two contrasts and then giving both of the contrasts a metaphor. Like here, yeah, Namrata, sure.
Yeah, so I've written too much, but I've tried to arrive at something.
Okay.
Before joining the business of industrial automation, I was like a snow-capped mountain, standing tall and appearing to know it all. When the snow melted, I appeared bare and got reduced to becoming a clean slate and a sponge to absorb all the learning.
Wow. Wow, very interesting. It's actually completely metaphoric. Very interesting, Namrata.
Yeah.
For sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is an aspirational before and after. Okay. Okay. Now I want to be a coach, and I feel like I'm a lantern. I glow quietly and I light the space around me. And when I become, okay, that's aspirational. I become a lighthouse and I guide others by glowing steadily and helping them through their journey.
Marvelous. Absolutely loved it. And in fact, I find you a lighthouse already because we have been interacting in Writernaama so many times. So yes,
Thank you.
you may be the quieter one, and lighthouse is also very quieter one, a very calm one, stands very tall and shows the way. For me, I have learned lot many things indirectly from you. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, in Vidya's story, the transformation right now is missing because she is like future pacing, kind of imagining the whole thing and telling. So she has used the metaphor, she has used what she wants, she has used the resolution that she has become a coach, and after that she feels like a lighthouse. The final transformation would be the result which she would be getting, right? So I'm just filling up the gaps in between. Cool. Anyone else wants to share the story before we move forward? Wonderful of you guys who have shared. You are cultivating your harvest very beautifully for metaphors. Yes, Dr. Hari Krishna.
I was a caterpillar eating everything which comes into my way. Once I realized I need to work on it, I started intermittent fasting. Then, after a few months, I became the butterfly, lightest butterfly flying around.
Wow. Wow. Wonderful. So that's about intermittent fasting and its beautiful effect. The wonderful transformational story from being the caterpillar to the butterfly. Interesting one, Dr. Hari Krishna. Thanks for sharing. All right. Anyone else wants to share? Cool. So we move forward. I'm taking that as a sign. Okay, so we come to the oppositional metaphors where, as I said, contrast always help people to take decisions. It's the simplest psychological fact. When you're showing the contrast, it's easier for them to compare and decide. So that's why this is the most, I would say, effective way to frame your metaphors and maybe, pitch something, or maybe talk about your work, or maybe sell something about your program. So many things you can do with using this framework of oppositional metaphors. Okay, let's have a look. So most coaches sell their services like vending machines. Insert payment, get the program. I sell mine like a private chef. We co-create the menu and every session is tailored to your taste and goals. That's how I describe my work. That it's more about co-creating for me. It's not like the vending machines. Okay, so again, two contradicting metaphors are there where you are comparing, but obviously not demeaning somebody, just telling that what is your USP. So my USP is that I co-create it with them. Okay, so one metaphor is vending machine, another metaphor is private chef. Okay, sometimes the metaphors, because it's a contrasting thing, they may not like coming from the same parts. It's not coming from the culinary part only, like chef versus profession only. Profession versus profession is not what I have described here. So this is the thing to notice here. You may have haywire categories. Vending machines versus some other machine is not the comparison. Although the comparison between other book coaches and me is there, but when you're picking up metaphors, it's not necessary that you're picking up metaphors from the same category, cooking versus cooking or machine versus machine, anything, but you need to describe them, because vending machine again may mean something else to somebody. So here I've given the description that for me, vending machine is inserting the payment and getting the program. For the private chef also, many people may have different kind of explanation for private chef, meaning which they give to private chef. And that is why I have explained what do I mean when I say that I sell mine like a private chef. Okay, let's move to the other one. Most writers try to be fireworks, loud, flashy, temporary. Fireworks are temporary, right? Again, describing is important. I teach them to be lighthouses, calm, steady, and unforgettable. Okay, so again, what are the two metaphors here? I have already talked about one. One is fireworks and another is lighthouses. Again, maybe the light part is common, but still not coming from the same category. Other book coaches focus on structure like it's scaffolding. I focus on your soul as the foundation. So what you build lasts. So here, soul is the metaphor. Soul as the foundation is a metaphor. And there the scaffolding is the metaphor. Okay. Again, two variety of metaphors to put the contrast there. They're not coming from the same category, but yes, when you're comparing two professions from the same field, different metaphors are being used. Okay. Time to do your part. Again, think about something where oppositional metaphors are there and you're talking about your USP. It can, even if you don't have a business, even if you don't have a service to offer, even if you don't have a product, you might have done, the way you have done things would be always different, right? The way you are as a mother, what is your USP? You can talk about that. The way you are, maybe, the way you meditate versus what others do can be the two contrasts. So just find the contrast. It's not about selling as of now to practice. In practice, just find two contrasts. Okay, this is how I do and this is how others do. Just think on those lines and type your answers in the chat box, or maybe unmute and talk about it. Yeah, Dipashri.
Okay. So most doctors treat diabetes in a very weird way. They would you give alcohol to an alcoholic person to reduce his cravings for alcoholism? No. So what doctors do is they give insulin to a type 2 diabetes patient, whereas that is only going to aggravate the diabetes even more. So when I read this book called Obesity Code by Dr. Jason Fung, I realized that diabetes is not to be treated by overloading the system with insulin like an alcoholic person, but rather by detoxifying the body so that it has enough, the cells have enough space to breathe without the extra insulin breathing down on them.
Okay.
I don't know, this explanation could have been a bit better, but yeah, that's my first draft.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. I love the alcoholism part, which served as a metaphor for sure. In fact, even here, detox is coming as a metaphor. However, I'm very sure like you can later on brush it up and come up with another metaphor for sure. So again, think about the characteristic. Detoxing means emptying something or purifying something. Now think of metaphor and then you can come up again. But you very beautifully described how people treat diabetes versus how it should be treated. Very interesting. Great. How about anyone else? Yeah, Vidya, you unmuted.
Yeah, I recently did a course in speed reading, and I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I felt like, the traditional way of reading a book is like taking a walk in a garden, smelling each flower and looking at the petals, looking at the color, the leaf, the texture, and all that. And that is like, it gives a lot of joy. And while you look at speed reading, it's more like traveling in a helicopter, crossing a lot of landscape, and seeing everything from a height. So it's got its benefits that you can see the big picture from up there, but it's not the same as traditional reading.
Wow. Very beautifully described in exact compact words. You described both the processes, and one was being there on the ground zero and one was just having an eagle eye view. Wonderfully described. Absolutely loved it, Vidya.
Thank you.
Namrata says detox is like spring cleaning a pit that held junk for donkey's ears. Wow, interesting. So Dipashri got her part also. Yeah, Dr. Hari Krishna.
I want to continue the diabetes thing with insulin. Okay, so if the leaks are emptying the tank, filling the tank with water is one option, and it will help to some extent. But addressing the leakage is more efficient.
Wow. Wow. That's very interesting. So if there are leaks in your system, filling water can help to a little extent, but mending the leak is what really matters when it comes to treating diabetes. Wow. Very, very beautifully described. Absolutely loved it. Very impactful. I mean, we are sold out. Great. Any more sharings? The more you try, the more you are sharpening this, because that's a very new concept we are working on, and looking at metaphor in a bit deeper way, rather than generally randomly using them strategically, and that needs a bit of practice. Just like anything, be it speed reading or any other thing in this world. So this is the skill, as I said yesterday, that you have been given the skill, you have been given the talent. It is time for you to double it up. Cool. If anyone wants to share, let me know. Please unmute and directly say, as I'm going to share the screen for the next one, which is logical bridge. Now here, suppose, okay, this is first the message. Let me read that. If your message is the seed, your offer is the soil, but without the right sunlight, your storytelling, which is your storytelling, nothing grows. That's what I help you to build. The conditions for your brand to bloom. Now, I could have directly said that, your message is the seed, and that's what I help you to build. That, building up your message for your brand to bloom. What happens is, seed, what are the things related to seed? When you metaphorize them with your process, you are actually talking about a process. Generally, I used to do that by the name of metaphoric theme-based metaphors. Like writing is like gymming. How? In gym, you directly don't pull the weights, right? You don't directly deal with the weights. Similarly, in writing, you directly, not on the very first day, start writing a book. Just like you go in the gym, you warm up. In writing, you warm up with things, with creative writing techniques, with maybe blog writing. And just like you then start with the treadmill, there are some treadmill things in writing also. And plus, just like in gym, you hire a coach or you hire a trainer, fitness trainer. Here, you hire a creative writing coach. And just like that fitness coach helps them to go to speed the things faster. The book coach does the same. Also, they help you to stay away from that muscle injury. Your book coach does the same. The muscle injury, the burnout, the writer's block, all those things are taken care of. So you can compare the whole theme, the process of something with a process of something. When you describe this process, there's this, complete logic that gets taken care of. So when somebody asks you, okay, how do you do that, or how do you provide your service, or maybe, how do you write, or how do you think? When you dissect the process, you think about another process to compare it with, and then compare them together and build the logical bridge. So it's like describing the whole process so that it gets fit in their mind, rather than directly, I could have said, okay, I'm a storytelling coach and I can help you to build your brand, versus bringing up the metaphors at every step in the process with another process and then describing that. Next, hiring a book coach is not an expense. It's a map. You can wander. Now, what would be the process of the map? Finding the way, right? So you can wander the forest of ideas alone for years, or take the shortcut trail with someone who knows the terrain. Or maybe we can have a GPS as a part here, because GPS is the new technology. So you can have GPS over there. So again, the process of map or GPS, what would be the process? It helps you to find your way, and you compare that with, here it is compared with the writing and book writing part. You can compare it with your own process there. Next is your story is like a kite. So writing story or storytelling is what we are talking about, the process of that. Now, the kite flying process, you've been trying to launch it on a windless day. So sometimes you're trying to launch it on a windless day, but the coaching for storytelling gives you the conditions to soar. Or maybe that's the thread which you are looking for. Okay, so that was the process versus process comparison. You can also call them theme-based metaphors or process-based metaphors. And that also helps you when you have to, especially when there's a, when the client or the person wants to understand how something is done in details, bring up two process, bring up two metaphors, and then describe it with the similarities. Okay, time for you. Again, I'm saying time for you to practice this. Please unmute and share your logical bridging or theme-based metaphors. Yeah, Dipashri.
Okay. So your health is like a scale balance. On one side is your healthy side, the other side is the diseased side. What doctors do is they will help you to come from the diseased side to the midpoint. But if you do not want to keep the scale tipping towards the diseased side again, you need to pile up your healthy side with enough nutrients that will help your body to sustain and keep itself healthy. And if that side stays heavy all the time, you won't tip over to the disease side.
Marvelous. Very interesting. So what are the two things which she has compared? Please quickly type your answers in the chat box. Meanwhile, if somebody else wants to share, please unmute and share. What were the two things which she compared as a process? And if someone else wants to share the process versus process through metaphor versus metaphor, please do so. It can be anything. As I said, she described health. You don't need to have that I have something to sell, then only I will talk about it. It can be anything. Yeah, Dr. Hari Krishna.
Yeah, I want to tell like one metaphor usage has got a very phenomenal impact on one of my friend. Actually, I was trying to convince my friend to ask him to go to his guide and ask for a salary hike because he's not getting how much he need to get because of some misunderstanding. So he's not at all because he's more like science driven side, like not. So I was convinced, I was trying to convince him it's not like you're doing injustice to your son because you cannot fetch, you cannot ask. Because of that, you are doing injustice because as you get less, you'll give less to your son. But even that is not working. That emotional thing which I tried, not working. Then I said, like while talking, I said, see, we will be still ruling by the kings and queens if we never asked. I think that struck him. He went, he asked, and he got his rice. As simple as it. And after that, I asked, like I was not sure like what really worked, but after I said, yeah, Hari, you said a lot and different things, but what struck me is like you said that we are still being ruled by kings and queens if we never ask.
Wow, very interesting. That was a very interesting analogy. Great, thank you for sharing. Yes, Vidya.
Yeah. This is like, I was trying to convince my friend. He was working in a company for like 20 plus years, and then he got laid off. And then more recently, he's been working with other companies, and and now he's looking for a job again. So I said, why don't you go back to that original company where you worked for 20 years? And he is like, well, I worked there for 20 years. I know the culture, but I also parted in a certain way that I don't feel comfortable to go and talk to them again. So I was kind of thinking that maybe I, could use metaphors. I'm not sure if it exactly applies here, but what I was telling him is we built a strong bridge and we grew together. Now, if we can rebuild that connection again, I'd love to, talk to you about it because I bring new tools and we can maybe rework the bridge and, rebuild that old connection.
Wow. Wonderful. That's interesting. Maybe you can add one more part here that all this while we have been building bridge. So I hope you're not thinking about building walls instead of that. Contrasts are also coming together then.
Yeah, that's what he kind of was mentioning, that there is a wall.
Oh,
So,
okay. Then it would be the apt one because then the rapport building would also be there.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Cool. Dipashri, you also wanted to share?
Yeah. So, if you had a pantry that is full of groceries, um, and you bought more groceries, uh, would that make sense? Buying more and trying to use a henchman to stuff it inside the pantry? No, right? Similarly, when you already have enough of a glucose inside your body, having insulin to act like a henchman to push that glucose inside the cell is not logical at all. Instead, like you would use up the groceries that you have in your pantry before you decide to get any more, intermittent fasting helps your body to use up its existing glucose or glycogen or fat storage so that you can actually create more space and then put some groceries inside.
Wow. Wow. Very interesting. Very nicely described. Great. Thank you for sharing. Yes, Dr. Hari Krishna.
So I want to share why using of the metaphors, how it works in a metaphorical way.
Wow. Please go ahead.
So one thing in metaphors, like it's a small note. In metaphors, we generally don't explain what we want to explain. We'll just explain the metaphorically, and the other person will get it.
Yes.
As you try to explain your thing, it will a little bit of dilutes it. So how it works? It's like if if you are watching a movie, that guy should go and say particular sentence to that girl. You know that, and you want it. You want that guy to go and meet. You are anticipating it, and when the particular boy speaks those words, and you are very happy.
Yes.
Means you got stick in and that.
Yes.
This is exactly how you do, because you will hook them with one metaphor, and they want to do the outcome thing, and they'll be craving for that. Or else or else what you will be doing in if you are not using metaphor, you will be giving one outcome, and you want to convince them for that outcome.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that convincing part was given to them itself, like, because you already hooked them with the metaphor, it will become automatically. It is like you making your way in the jungle, like breaking the trees, making your way and going forward, or using the highway which is already built.
Wow. Wow. Wonderfully described. Absolutely wonderful. I was just wondering, where is this leading to? Where is this leading to? And I was waiting for the metaphor, and very nicely connected. Great. So thanks to all of you for sharing and taking that participation, because that's going to add up to your metaphor bank in your mind. One more I could recall was, and this was with all those who have done NLP from Henosh, they know him. So he often gives this example that one of his friends was very, very stuck in his job, and he wanted to come out, and he was, kind of cribbing about it and venting it out. Nothing is working. My boss is not good, and this and that, and all things are, nothing is conducive over there. And in his mind, there was this metaphor of traffic coming into the scene, that he wants to move ahead on a smooth ride, but there's a lot of traffic and blocking his way. So he told him, okay, if there's in this lane there's a lot of traffic and blocking your way, why, what about changing the lane? And he stopped there, and after a few years, when his friend met him, he gave him a lot of credit that, your one line changed my life, and I changed my job, and this, that, and he didn't remember. And then he made him recall that, you once told me that, how about changing the lane? So again, a process versus a process comparison, and it was sold out. Versus when you keep on giving advice and keep becoming that right, and then nobody listens. Okay,
One thing,
yeah.
it comes naturally for everyone. If you listen to your moms, you will know they'll be using a lot of metaphors,
Yeah. Whenever you are,
because they don't want to hurt the feelings of the family members, but at the same time they want to show something and they want to express. And in general, in Indian, like culture, they will tell, like, not hurting others.
yeah.
So if you observe your mom speaking, like a lot of metaphors.
Absolutely. Time to go back and open your ears to listen to mothers. Those who have already become mothers, especially those. Great. Thanks for sharing wonderful inputs from all of you. Let's move towards the last part of the SOLD framework, which is desire amplifier. So working with me is not about just writing better. It's like upgrading from a candle to a chandelier. You don't just shine, you dazzle in every room. Again, first of all, the first thing to notice is that you're talking about a process. Okay, whatever the process can be, it can be working on your health, working on anything, or reducing weight or whatever. Second thing to notice is it's somewhat similar to what we did yesterday to deepen the impact. Is dash isn't this, but it is like this. So two metaphors are used again. And that's why they get a very clear, distinct desire that, this is what we want to do. You are leading them towards their output, what they want. They want to shine. And then you are using the metaphor. But also you are taking care that it's not just about shining like a candle or spreading the light. It's larger, it's bigger than that. Okay. So that's how you amplify the desire. Next is this boot camp is a forge. You walk in with raw iron and walk out a blade, sharpened, shining, ready to cut through the noise. And all those who have been participating will definitely come out as not just blade. I think even much more bigger than that. So again, a process is described, and the focus is on this part, that this is not just this, but this. Yesterday we did this is not this, but this is this. It to deepen the impact. The I part of vivid is what I'm talking about. So yesterday in that vivid framework, we talked about deepening the impact, where we used the format which was K. Suppose book coaching is not this, but book coaching is this. Here we are doing book coaching is not just this, but also this, and then using the metaphors. Okay, so that's this little bit of difference. But yes, again, it deepens the impact, and thus the desire is amplified. They get a very clearer picture that, we are getting much more than what we are expecting. Okay, this is not just a class, it's a keyhole to your next level. Peek through and you'll see a writer who finally owns their voice. Again, this is not just this, but also this, and then using metaphors over there. Okay, time for you to rattle your brains out for desire amplifier. I've given you the framework. This something is not just this, but also this, and fill up the metaphors on both the sides. Please unmute and share your part. We got the story of Pandya when we were disobedient. Okay, I'm unaware about the story. It would be great if once you share, so you can share the story as well. Pandya, or maybe I know, but not able to pronounce or not able to recall. All right, who is going to share first for the desire amplifier? This is not just this, but also this. Yeah, Dipashri.
Participating in a play is not just about acting, but it is about learning time management, leadership, thinking on your feet, and a whole host of other skills that you would otherwise pay to learn in a workshop.
Okay. Okay, so I missed the metaphor or what? Because I just heard acting in the start.
Acting in a drama.
Okay.
It's not just participating in a drama is not just about acting.
Okay.
It is also about learning a whole host of other skills that you would pay to learn in a workshop.
Okay, but here I guess the metaphor in the second part is missing. What is the metaphor? Participating in the drama is not just like this,
not just about,
also like that. Now fill it up.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe participating in drama is not.
So,
yeah.
Okay. So, it is like seeing through a glass and getting a rainbow just instead of a white color.
Wow, marvelous, very marvelously woven. And what was this story about Pandya?
Yeah, about Pundya.
Okay.
So there's this little guy named Pundya, like around 8-9 years old, and he's the youngest kid in the house. And he used to be very stubborn. Whenever he wanted anything, he used to throw tantrums. नहीं मुझे ये अभी चाहिए अभी चाहिए. So once his mother had made kheer, and he was so adamant that no, I want more. He said I have to feed everyone, but he was not ready to listen. So she said, okay, now as a consequence, you will stay alone at home when the rest of us are going out to see a circus. And he was alone in the house, and it was late night when the others returned. But by that time, there was a spider in the corner that scared this boy terribly. And he was like praying that his parents would come home soon. And then he barely escaped being bitten by that spider.
Oh.
And when his mother came home, he learned his lesson and said, I will never disobey you, and but please don't punish me like this. So
Wow.
whenever we were disobedient, our mother used to remind us of the story of Pundya.
Very interesting. It also is a metaphor, like stories are part of metaphors only. Interesting one.
Or the other one also where, you have to focus, like who's that? Guru Dronacharya told
Yeah.
Arjun, and he asked everyone, what do you see? And Arjun was the only one who said, I see the bird's eye. And
Yeah.
it was only then that he allowed him to shoot the arrow.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's about the mindset of having that focus. Great. Namrata says we are not just a tiny speck in the universe, but also a power-packed spark that can light millions of life or create a huge, that can either light the millions of spark, light millions or create a huge forest fire. Wow. Very interesting. Wonderful. Okay. Vidya unmuted.
Yeah, this is something I remember attending a master class for a coach, and the question was that, okay, this was for AI. The person who's selling the service is an AI expert, and somebody asked, like, I'm too old, I don't know, I'm not a techie, all usual kind of questions that come, and what the coach said was that you are running on outdated software, and that's slowing you down. It was kind of, he was teaching a technology course, or but he was also talking about that you need to change and change your beliefs, and the new version will be lighter, faster, and more for more in tune with today's world. So it was kind of a double whammy. I thought, like, he was not only talking about the subject, but he was also talking about that person's beliefs, and saying that it's time that you change your beliefs.
Yeah. Wow, very interesting. Great. Thank you for sharing. Yes, Dr. Hari Krishna.
Yeah. I was like, suppose if we are giving a coaching for the teachers. So how to give them a desire to address the students with whatever talents they have. Means to promote the student in their own talent instead of pushing them into one framework. So for that, I can use the widely used Dronacharya Arjuna story. Because metaphorically, the society has forced us. Focus means Arjuna. Arjuna means Drona, and Drona saw that he is focusing only on the eye. So it is widely accepted story, and it was widely there. So we'll start with the same story, and we'll continue the story. When Drona asked Bhima what you are looking at, Bhima said, I can see the tree, whole tree, and how strong it is. So
Oh,
Bhima was trained in Gada Vijay,
in?
like how to use the Gada
Okay,
and
good.
how to use the strength.
Hmm.
So when he asked Yudhishthir, what you are seeing? Yudhishthir was seeing there is a nest, there is a bird, maybe it is in the nest because it may have eggs in it. So it is protecting it. And
Hmm.
if we beat it, maybe it is not good. So Yudhishthir was trained in Dharma. What is right, what is wrong? And he asked Nakul and Sahadev, what you can see there? Nakul and Sahadev saw the bird and it says, uh, I think the way it is sounding, maybe it is little hungry, maybe it is waiting for something to eat. It will be better. So Nakul and Sahadev was trained how to treat with the animals, how to talk with the animals, how to communicate with the animals. Also, like one of the specialization. So this is how we can amplify the desire of the teachers
Yeah.
to identify each students and train them by using the widely accepted and widely used thing.
Wow. Very, very powerful one. Very interesting. Great, great. Great. Thank you for sharing, Dr. Hari Krishna. Manish has also shared very interesting one. Dipashri, I could not get you mean cookie cutter approach. Uh, Two more are coming to my mind, just which I on the go use, and that's what happens when you deal in metaphors so many times. So once one of my clients, when I guess we did not communicate very well on how the book writing process goes, and when her first draft was ready, uh, I told her that, okay, now it is time for me to start the first round of review. I'll give you the comments over there. You can revise the draft and give it back to me. And she was shocked. She was like, okay, ye bhi mujhe hi karna hai. Like, I have to only revise it. Or she expected that once written, rest, all work will be done by the book coach. So maybe that was my responsibility to clarify. Since the start, or there might be some miscommunication, because I personally believe that if it is not communicated well, it is not the person who is at fault. It is your message which was not conveyed the way it had to be conveyed. And then I thought about it, and immediately something came, and I said, okay, gardener is not always the owner of your garden, right? You have hired a gardener who is teaching you how to fertilize, how to plant a seed, how to harvest your this thing. But ultimately, the garden is yours. So when the gardener is not there, even then you are the owner of that garden, which is there inside your home. So you'll have to nourish that. It's gardener is there for the time being where you have hired the gardener. Somewhere that made sense to her, and she understood that, okay, there might be some miscommunication, or she might not have understood, and we again got on the same page. Another one which is coming to my mind was once people, sometimes it's like they have written the book and then they come to me for just publishing. It's no harm in doing the publishing, but I'm not amongst those coaches who take leverage or take commission ki, I've guided you for publishing and I'll take commission. I don't believe in that part. It's nothing like I'm demeaning that. It's just not in my practice. Maybe in coming times I may take that up, but as of now I just guide them. Sometimes when I'm very, very kind of piling up projects are there, and I'm not able to give that time, because that's just a guidance where I just tell them that these are the publishers and all that. When I don't have that time bandwidth to come on Zoom and talk to them, I generally avoid these things. So once such times where I was having a lot of work over there, and somebody requested that I want to talk about publishing with you. I've written a book. And so I just told her that, when you go to a restaurant and you order idli, right? So you don't just order idli, right? You order the sambar, and also the chutney comes with that. So it's a full package which comes. So publishing guidance is part of my whole book writing. Sometimes ठीक है, but I did not tell her because I did not want to, I did not had the bandwidth, so I did not want to do that time. So this metaphor worked for her and she was like, okay, fine. So, at least, idli comes with at least the chutney, if not the sambar, or at least the sambar, if not the chutney. But that's the whole package. You don't get the idli just like that, right? So that was another metaphor which I had used. That was for the so that was for the Mahabharat story just shared just now. Which one you're talking about, Dipashri?
Yeah, so Heena, I mentioned the cookie cutter approach. I think what Dr. Harikrishna was mentioning, that Dronacharya used that bird's eye as a cookie cutter approach. So that was for that story that he shared.
Right. Yes, exactly. Okay. All right. So we move to the second part, which is brand metaphors. How do you describe your work? First of all, suppose if somebody asks me, what are writers like? Now somebody can say, okay, they are gold miners. They bring out the gold of emotions. So that's another metaphor. So how do you describe your work, what you do? Okay. So let's see some examples, and then again, time for the drilling also, the practice drill also would be there. So brand here means you're recognized by your work, right? So that's what I'm talking about as brand, nothing else. No branding, sort of typical literal branding. So I'm picking up my own examples only. It's easier for me to connect there. So book coaching, working with a book coach is like hiring a lighthouse keeper. They don't write the story for you, but they make sure that your message don't crash in the dark. That message doesn't crack in the dark. So again, the whole process here, what is changing is these are situation specific metaphors. Suppose one is that I want to describe the whole process, where the process related logical metaphors will come into the scene. When you have situational, just like I gave the example of a client who was confused that whether the second draft also has to be written by her, that there such metaphors fit well, where there's a situation in your work and then you're describing that situation with a metaphor. So it's not the whole process or the whole work, because that we have done in the logical bridging part. Here, there is a situation in the work. Suppose you're describing the whole treatment of diabetes, that will come in the logical bridge. But if there is a situation which comes where, the person says, okay, I just want to go with the insulin and you have to treat me. Now to convince them in this particular situation, what kind of metaphor you will bring only for that situation would be the game changer here when it comes to brand metaphors. Okay, next is this masterclass is like giving your words wings. Suddenly your ideas just don't land, they soar. So what I mean here is the message behind that was just the impact part I wanted to focus on, rather than learn metaphors. But what is the benefit? The benefit is that the immediate impact, it's like a switch on. It happens that fast. And that's what metaphors do to you. Okay, so you can have the ultimate outcome in mind and put that in one line, or you can have a situation based part while describing a work or while describing a process, only a situation over there which you can describe. Okay, let's see some more. I don't just help you to write your brand story, I hand you the megaphone so the right people can finally hear it. What is the difference between this one and the one where both metaphors were used on the both process? There is a difference, but let me ask you, what is the difference? The ones which we did, the desire amplifier, where we were using two metaphors together. This is not just about, this is not like this, but it is like this. And now I'm asking you, yeah, I don't just help you to write your brand story. I hand you the megaphone so that the right people can finally hear it. What is the difference between the desire amplifier and here the brand metaphor part?
So the person is also doing the PR. That's what she's saying, she or he.
Okay.
So not just helping the person in writing the story, but also making sure that there is an audience for that story, right?
Yeah. So that's the meaning, right? That's the meaning you got it. But what is the difference? वहाँ पे भी तो it is not this. I just don't do this, but I do that. वो वहाँ पे भी था. But here also the same template is there. What is the difference?
It's much more, it's bigger, because she's saying, I'm giving you the megaphone. That means that I'm not only going to handhold you, but I'm also going to push you forward into a larger stage.
Yes, that comes as an objective. Yes. Interesting. Yeah, Dipashri?
So in the earlier one, we had compared with what others do. But now our comparison is with what will happen if you do not take this service.
Yes, that's another perspective. Very interesting. Very interesting. That's the underlying message which you guys are talking about. In the template, the difference is that there, if let me just take it back. All the three examples of desire amplifier, you see there are two metaphors used. That is not just about writing better. It is about upgrading from a candle to chandelier, two metaphors. Then again, when you talk about iron and blade, two metaphors. In the third one, it is the keyhole, and then finally a keyhole to the next level, peeking through, and then finally finding your voice. So again, two metaphors. Here, when we come, first line doesn't have a metaphor. First line doesn't have a metaphor. First line, you just tell that I just don't do this in a simplest language, and then you tell it through the metaphor. And the underlying messages you guys brought out very interestingly, Vidya and Dipashri, that that's the underlying message which is coming. Very interesting. Yes, Dr. Hari Krishna.
Yeah, it was done. It was said by one of the users, so fine.
Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. So again, on the same template, this is not a course. It's your rocket launcher. Get in, strap up, and let your impact explode past every limit. Again, first line, very simple. So we are not focusing on what is it not. We are not giving a metaphor of what is it not or what is not happening. We are just giving the metaphor to what is happening or what it is about. So that's the difference. There, both things were metaphorized. This is not like this. They're also metaphor. And it is like this. They're also metaphor. Here, we are just metaphorizing the positive outcome. Okay, both play differently on the psychology of reader. Sometimes some people get clicked with the desire amplifier because they're very much into comparisons, and when you paint picture for both comparisons, they get sold out. For some people, it is this way that you are just starting simply but just giving one powerful metaphor and telling that what exactly it is about, just giving metaphor there, not in the what it is not about. Okay, clear? The distinction is clear? Cool. Time for practicing that. Please unmute or share or type your answers in the chat box for branding metaphors. Okay, there is...
Go.
Yeah, sure. Just a moment. I forgot to show the next slide. So think of it as mind mirror. Again, we are not talking about what NLP is not. Directly, what is NLP? So NLP shows you what's hidden, and writing turns it into gold. Okay, so we are adding the writing part here, but yes, definitely nowhere talking about what it is not. So everywhere when you're using the brand related metaphors or defining your brand or defining especially your work, just focus on what it is versus what it is not. That would not come. Next is, my copy doesn't just describe your offer. Very simply said, it wraps it in a velvet box and leaves it under your reader's emotional Christmas tree. So that's what it is about. Sorry, I forgot to share one slide. Yes, Dipashri, please unmute.
Okay, so as a parent, I am not just a service provider. I'm more like a gardener who provides the soil, appropriate water, and other nutrients needed for each plant as per their requirement, so that they can grow to their fullest potential.
Marvelous. Wonderfully described. Yes, Namrata.
As a marketing professional, I help you find and emerge your oysters with the choicest and rarest pearls.
Wow.
I not only help you just sail through, but also wade an ocean filled with whales, sharks, and crocodiles.
Oh, wow. That was very vivid. Great. Thank
Yeah,
you.
because I deal into niche products. So that's why pearls, oysters.
Yeah.
My target customer is, my market is niche, and we have large competitors. So that's why whales, sharks, and crocodiles.
Wow. Wonderful. Very interesting. Very interesting. Absolutely loved it.
Thank you.
Great. Any more sharings?
As a book writer, what I do, carefully select the premium ingredients and the things and cut it to the requirement of the customer and cook it just right and present it to consume it instantly. That is the job of a writer.
Wow. Just like a chef.
Yep. Powerful premium chef. Like you can't wait to eat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Actually, I wanted to go with the pearls and the necklace. I was going with the jeweler, but already it was occupied. I was forced to do this.
Okay. But this one is also interesting. And in fact, when you play around with these, when you go to the soul framework, same thing can be converted into desire amplifier. Same thing can be converted into the oppositional also. So it's a play around with all these things to see which one is, resonating with you and making more impact. Yes, Namrata.
I want to share one small story. Like I got into the trouble by using desire amplifier.
Okay.
That I completely got into the trouble, like deep neck trouble.
Okay.
Because I was in 10th. During that, there was some Afro-Asian games or some kind of games is happening in Hyderabad. So all of my friends are going to attend the games. So I want to convince my mom, like I want to go to the games because it was never happened. It was a huge thing. Like during that time, it's a huge thing because we don't have IPL or all the stuff. Like we don't have much of happenings. So even the government, everyone is spending a lot of, like, it is before Commonwealth Games and everything. So I went to my mom because my friends are waiting outside. I want a permission. Like I said, Mom, this is very good, awesome. Everyone is coming. Everything is such a great thing and everything. So it was like little overdose. Now my mom want to come with me. I said, no. She said, no, you said it is like never before. And you said it is not going to miss. And she joined me. And my friends are like hating me for bringing a parent to the kids thing.
Yeah, but you use the metaphor there.
I didn't use the metaphor, but I said like I using the, it was the never before. It was the
Okay,
thing which
never
you should
before thing.
not miss.
Okay, yeah.
Like I amplified her desire.
Yeah. Okay, that way. All right. Great. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Okay, Namrata, your hand was up, or was it like up before you?
Yeah, I'd forgotten to lower it.
Okay, cool. All right. Any more sharings before we move forward to the final part of pitching your pitch, the powerful pitch? Okay, let's move forward. Vidya, you have anything to share?
I was thinking about how to use a metaphor for active listening. Okay.
Okay.
And it's not a brand metaphor, but it's like what I felt is it's active listening is like listening with an empty cup.
Wow.
Being ready to receive and not have your own opinions in that cup.
Wow. Very wonderful, very beautifully described. In fact, this reminds me the process related one where the logic wala one thing that came to my mind. Once I just wanted to do something regarding, how NLP has changed my life, and I made the metaphor fully for the process. So the basic metaphor was glass half full, but I completely made it like NLP is not just about glass half full, but also the glass full, and also we can change the glass, we can change the liquid. So I kept on giving metaphors and the process along with that, and that was also very interesting. So pick up anything and keep comparing, it would become absolutely very stunning, interesting, captivating. Thank you for sharing, Vidya. Yes, Namrata.
Just to add to what Vidya said, active listening is like an open Bluetooth, recepting the obvious and what's available without filtering or disconnection.
Oh, wow. Marvelous. Absolutely loved it. Wow. Great, great, guys. So let's move forward to how do you pitch your pitch? Okay. So pitching is like when you pitch your work. Okay. So all these things, just a moment. There's no movement in this. Yeah. I don't know why it is not moving when I'm sharing the screen, but otherwise it is. Okay. So let's see some examples now. So as you can see, your story is not lost. It is just buried under noise. So again, simply saying, but first of all, the point here is that one-liner pitches. Okay. Where all it can be used in your, whether you're doing a website copy, whether you're, writing any content online and just highlighting that very first part and then talking about it, or maybe, giving presentations or talking to somebody. Another game changer, apart from this being just one liner, is taking a pause after that, because then just a little bit of pause, not very longer one. The example which I gave about changing the lanes, he must have taken a pause for a second and then moved forward as if nothing happened, just said something and going in the flow. Okay, so this is how it works on your mind. Pitching your pitch is just about one liner or maybe a more line over there. Again, how would you describe your work? Generally, when I ask this question, I ask, suppose, tell me you are a teacher without telling me you are a teacher. So describe it like, tell me you're a writer without telling me you're a writer. So maybe you're a literary archaeologist who helps unearth the ideas, or together we will carve your book from dust to destiny. So we do that as a book coach. So how to do that is, first think about a profession. It can be your profession, it can be motherhood, anything. Second, only one liner. Now tell me you're a mother without telling me you're a mother. Now think of a metaphor. So maybe I mold values. I build pots of values with the mud of I build pots of visionary with the mud of values, something like that. And then you say that I'm a mother, or even if that, but first line is somewhere we are looking for the metaphors, only first line. Okay. So time to practice that pitch. Okay. I don't know why it is when I'm sharing, it's exiting. Yeah. Few more are there. Your inner critic is a foghorn, loud, blinding, constant. Maybe I help you to turn it into whisper and hand you a pen. Only thing is one liner, it is there. Nothing else. You can play around with any of the format which we have done before. You can do it in, except the logical part, because that's a whole process. You can do it in the oppositional part, but just one line. You can do it with the desire amplifier, but just one and a half line. Point is the compact part, the one line part, and the pause after that. So that's the point. And when you describe also, as you can see, loud, blinding, constant, that's it. Not going for the longer descriptions. I help you to turn your words into whisper and hand you a pen, or maybe your ideas into whisper and hand you a pen. You don't just write, you reclaim your voice. So just bringing one-liner pitches over there. Oh. Just a moment, just last slide, and I don't know why it is again and again collapsing. Words can slap or seduce. Again, one single line, slap and seduce, becomes a metaphor, verb-related metaphor. Metaphors are the language of electricity. They make people feel. In this boot camp, you will learn to write with voltage. So again, one lines. Any one of these, like it's not completely, it can be a complete copy, definitely, but you start with the first one-liner. Okay, so sharings are welcomed. Why it is happening that way? Okay. Yeah. So your brand is not a logo, it's a lighthouse. I help you to build the beam that guides your people home. Let's make you unmissable in the sea of sameness. Again, yeah, cool. So now time to pitch it in the chat box or maybe unmute it. I do not sell, I help you to buy. Yes. A metaphor is what I'm looking for. So maybe I do not, that's a very beautifully described phrase. However, the metaphor is missing. Okay, how about others? Please come up with your one-liner pitch. Yeah,
So-
Dr. Hare Krishna.
So I want to share, like, which I found in some of the local news media. One of the Baloch leader, like how he draw attention towards this problem is, our mountains are bleeding well and our people are starving. In one line, he sum up everything.
Okay, interesting.
Because that area is full of wealth, full of gold, and full of other resources. And he was saying, like, our mountains are bleeding with wealth. And at the same time, in this metaphor, he was telling about the bleeding, lot of loss of lives and everything. Also in the bleeding with wealth, and our people are starving.
Okay. Interesting. So that's what the next framework which I am coming towards as a Power Pack bonus framework. The very interesting one, and it's healing from there. On point. Thank you for sharing. Okay, Dipashri says a drama is like a chair. A single screw or leg out of place can derail. As a product assistant, so this would be the very first highlighted line. And then in the upcoming lines, you can talk about as a product assistant, I help to keep the chair in great shape. So the audience can enjoy the pleasure of sitting in the chair or viewing the drama. Interesting. Very nicely described. Okay. Meanwhile, you guys are thinking and brainstorming about further pitching. Let's do a upgrade on pitch. Okay.
Just one thing regarding, I thought I'll talk about, like, proofreading. It gave me an idea, because I used to do proofreading. Nowadays, everything is done in AI. But for proofreading, there was a metaphor that was used, like, I am your rear view mirror for the road that you have already journeyed. So you focus on driving the message, and I make sure that nothing gets overlooked, like typos and inconsistencies.
Wow. Very wonderfully described. Very wonderful, beautiful. Absolutely loved it. Manish says, my father is the compass. Yes, very interesting. So one line, very power packed, and then you carry your message forward. Let's have a look at one more template, which will help you to pitch it even more strategically, even more structured way. Okay. So you can use this when you want to pitch powerfully. Okay. If your problem, so if ke baad whatever problem, so if creative writing feels like a negative metaphor can be, it feels like a candle burning from both ends or something like that. Imagine turning it into a lighthouse. That's what my book coaching does to you. Okay. So when you are describing the problem, a negative metaphor, and then when you are saying leading them towards the outcome, a positive metaphor. Okay, so that's the framework. Quickly, I was thinking to do it in breakout room, but we can do it here also. That reminds me, my husband used to call me F7 key because I could easily detect mistakes in his written content. Why? Wow, that is also a metaphor. Very interesting. That reminds me that F7 iske liye bhi hota tha, grammatical, because generally these days, Grammarly is there, as Vidya also rightly mentioned. Grammarly is there, AI is there, so we don't go there anymore. Very interesting. Great. So pick up this template and curate your pitch. My coaching service is the next best thing after sliced bread. Wow. Wonderful. Vidya, you are blooming with metaphors. Great. Okay, so pick up this template. If your problem is like dash, which is a negative part, and then imagine turning it into the positive metaphor. That's what my offer or I do. Quickly unmute, and I'm keeping the screen on so that you guys can have a look there. And there's a freebie which I will be sharing, so stay till the end. Yeah, anyone power pitching? If you don't want to power pitch for yourself, or right now you don't have anything to pitch for, you can pitch it for something else. Like maybe just like Dipashri was constantly giving examples of diabetes. So that's what not my work ki jagah, she can use something else. Like that's what the real diabetologists do, or that's what the authentic diabetologists do, something like that. And then using the metaphors in the about template. So quickly unmute and talk about it. Power pitching. I used to practice as nutrition coach and hence those examples. Wow, wonderful. Great to know. I did not know this part of yours. All right. So then you can pitch this part only, Dipashri, think about it. Yes, Namrata.
So this is something I've tried to write for my business, for a business pitch. That are you fed up of manual sorting and frustrated with manpower management? We can offer you an end-to-end solution in a battle of an eyelid, because our products can detect and measure the components in less than 1 second.
Interesting. Great. So so the metaphor you have used here is
battle of an eyelid.
Okay. Okay. Great. Awesome. All right. Who else? Yeah, Dipashri.
So if your health feels as if you are trying to use a needle to hand sew a wide gap in the cloth, imagine turning imagine using a sewing machine to sew all the leaks together so that what you have is a perfect cloth.
Oh, very interesting. Very interesting. Marvelous. Great.
And the sewing machine would be using nutrients and diet properly.
Ah, wow. Very nicely explained. So that goes to the logical bridging part also. Wow. Nice. Great. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing to Namrata also. Yes, Vidya.
This is about elder care. So having siblings, but being the person taking care of elder care, it feels like watering everybody else's garden while your own plants wither.
Wow. Wow. Very nicely described. Wonderful. Power packed. All to all of you, I'm sold out on your pitches. Yes, yes. Even I loved this one, the one which Dr. Hari Krishna has shared. Your interruptions is like a salt. It makes my dish tasty when it is minimum. Wow. Interesting. So, any more sharings? Okay. If there are any more, let's see. Till then, let's go a bit further and also let's wrap it up. Okay. So how many of you want to metaphor your brand? Or how many of you want to sprinkle the lightning effect in your writing? Maybe you can raise your hands or type a yes in the chat box. Anything would work. Okay, Namrata wants to. Yeah, Vidya wants to. Dipashri wants to. Interesting. Great. Dr. Hari Krishna as well. Marvelous. Great. So there's this, I'm very inspired by the books which we discussed yesterday, that, be a triangle or welcome home or iceberg selling, which Dipashri had mentioned. And there was one more which somebody had mentioned. I forgot the name of the book. So I just thought that maybe, there can be a program where we use a metaphor and write our books. It can be, and it can be fiction also, because there's another book, Into the Uncut Grass, which is a blend of metaphor and a story, and still there is a message to pass on. So I researched all of this, and I was very, very kind of, I would say, inclined towards doing that. So that's what I brought up. Write your book in 1 month. It can be a fiction, can be a non-fiction, or a metaphoric non-fiction. So metaphoric fiction and non-fiction is also the option, totally up to you. It would be a 1 month program. So it would start on 1st of May, and 7 to 8 group sessions would be there. I keep it flexible because depends on the demand and the action taking power of the whole group. And accordingly, we increase, decrease, whatever happens. So that's the flexible part. In the there would be first 2 chapters review, which I would be giving you to in the mail, and also maybe through the voice notes and WhatsApp messages. The full review package is also there. So the price for that, if you don't want the review, if you don't want the editorial part, if you don't want the whole editorial part, then it is 11,000, 11,111 for 1 month. Or if you want the review from me, then it is 13,333. However, as every time early bird discount is there. So if you are paying before 15th, which is on Monday or Tuesday, then the full review part you'll get in 11,111, and without review part you'll get in 9,999. So this is your chance to make an impact in just 1 month and be that lighthouse. So you are welcome on board for that. Let me know. You can DM me, or you can type your, if you're interested, you can put your message in the group also, and I'll take it forward from there. And now it is time for bonus gift. Who all are, first of all, excited for the program? And then we'll go for the bonus gift, which is 25 metaphors that sell. I'll attach it here for you guys. Marvelous. Namrata is interested. Dipashri is interested. Outstanding. Great. So let me attach this beautiful gift for you guys. And it's kind of a ready-made swipe file sort of thing, where you can just pick up the metaphors and use it just like that. At least 25 are there. And you can keep on adding that to your list, more to your list. Yeah. So here is the PDF for all of you. Please download it from Zoom chat box. This won't be shared in the group again. So please make sure you download it and save it at a place. It's getting uploaded. And have a look at that. And I'm not opening it here, because then the snapshots can be taken, because this recording is going to get shared on YouTube as well. And I'm not giving the privilege to the ones who have not attended it live and stayed till the end. This is a personal token of respect from my side to you also. And that is why not shared on the screen. Once download, please type it done in the chat box. Have a look at all the 25 metaphors and let me know what are your thoughts on that. You can type or unmute anything, whatever you want. So I've given all the 25 ones, the explanation of those and where to use them in the PDF. Just above, Deepashri, you must have seen, abhi to upload ho gaya hai. Have you got it? Like, is it seen to you guys? I've just uploaded in the Zoom chat box only. Okay, Vidya has got it. How about others? I'm asking all of you, Subhash, Gayatri, Dr. Hari Krishna, Manish, and Dipashri. Dipashri, you got it or not? Got it. Okay, cool, cool. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, all of you got it. Most welcome. Have a look and open it and let me know what do you think of it. And I'm very sure like you're excited about using metaphors now on. This is the ready-made part which is there at your kind of working as a bodyguard for you. You can use it anywhere, carry it along. Apart from thinking, definitely keep on practicing the metaphors. And yes, most welcome to write your book in 1 month and let's rock it if you're there. And any questions before we wrap it up? I'm just assuming that you guys are lost into the word web of metaphors, which you just opened with 25 metaphors that sell. And I'm looking forward for the feedback as well. Cool. Had a look at the sheet. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Vidya. Thank you. Just made sure to save it properly. It's amazing. Yes. Thank you so much, Dipashri. Hey, Namrata. Thank you so much. So keep, churning out metaphors. Now you have become the metaphor factory. So congratulations for that. And yes, save it carefully. I will not reshare it again. If you're personally DMing me, I remember all the names who are here. Apart from that, it will not be shared in the group. I'm reiterating that. And especially that's why I'm not sharing it on the screen as well. Thank you so much, Manish. Oh, wow. Your session is like a tulip garden in spring. Thank you so much, Dr. Hari Krishna. Thank you. It was a pleasure having you for 2 days. It was I would say a rocking brainstorming with all of you, especially with the kind of, I felt again, the tennis ball comes to my mind that I threw the ball and you threw it back to me. So it became a very wonderful playground. Wow. Now I can find the lemons metaphors more easily. Yes. They're in your pocket always. Pocket-sized metaphors. Interesting. So thank you so much. I look forward for you, all of you, to join and see the transformation because you don't write the book writes you. And let's give it a chance and get rewritten. Okay, thank you so much to each one of you. Time to say goodbye. We'll be there. And yes, a deep gratitude to all of you. Archana, you just joined, but it just got ended. So you can check the recording. Thank you so much. It was very interesting to ride with you, Vidya. Thank you so much, Namrata. Deep gratitude to you too. Yeah, that's okay, Archana. There is the replay which would be shared on YouTube. I'll send the link. Thank you, Namrata. All right. Bye-bye. Take care.